Well, health workers are at the top of the list to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Government aims to roll out the first batch in February, as we know, if it happens. Well, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize is saying structures have been set up to expedite financing, sourcing and procurement of the vaccine. Well, let's discuss this further now with Dr. Linda Becker from the Desmond Tutu HIV Centre. Linda, a very good morning to you and thanks so much for your time. And I see you've been tweeting, since yesterday, since before the actual press briefing that was held late yesterday as well. And you seem to be a bit more positive than most people are about the vaccine and when it will get to South Africa. And do we believe what we were told last night as well? The term drop the ball coming to mind a lot. As I said, this is on repeat. It's a popular sentiment that we have mishandled this. How do you feel? What are your thoughts at this stage as we speak this morning on what we were told last night?
So I suspect my Twitter handle reflects my optimistic nature, which is, something I've had my whole life. I think probably what has caused some sense of upbeatness is just the fact that the Ministry of Health is actually talking to us. I'm on the advisory group of the Health Justice Initiative, and we've been calling for some months now, in fact since November, for transparency around the country plan. And I think, we saw some evidence of that last night. I think the message is we need to be kept abreast every step of the way as a country. I think government owes us that. I think even if there has been a slow start, there has been a dropping of the ball, I think the sense that we now insert urgency into this is something the country really needs to hear, particularly healthcare workers. And that's where I've really been advocating the strongest of all. This is where I see the most urgent priority. We cannot shield healthcare workers by definition. They have to be on the front line. Therefore, we need a vaccine as soon as possible. And that's the message I've been trying to convey.
Well, Linda, as optimistic as you are, and many others as well, I suppose many of us are trying to be optimistic. We're trying to believe, what we're being told, that this is the absolute truth. But is there a fear, is there a chance that this dropping of the ball, however brief it might have been, whether this is going to put us in the same position we were in decades ago when it came to how we first dealt with HIV/AIDS in this country?
Yeah, I think that's been the sort of overarching feeling of despair, because those of us who were around in the early 2000s remember this acutely. We watched people needlessly die. We were way at the back of the queue. And we had to use all kinds of methods to try and get treatment into the country. People may or may not remember we had to cross borders and actually illegally transport antivirals into the country. We had heroes and heroines who traveled to other parts of the world to fetch drugs. And I think, this is sort of the message that I have been and others have been trying to push, is that this needs to be a multi-pronged attack now to say, how do we access these vaccines as quickly as possible? We need to do the multilateral. We need to do the government to government. We need to talk to the people at PEPFAR. We need to talk to the people in the first world. We need to be saying, what can we do? Our BRICS country, what else can be done in order to access these vaccines as soon as possible? And to my mind, no rock should be left unturned in that regard. So I think we need to just feel like every effort is being made, and we need to be told every step of the way what those efforts are and which are being successful and which aren't, so that we can continue to, to explore every avenue.
Well, Gail, Linda, I just want to get your take on what it is you actually heard last night in that update as well. Are you convinced that we did try our best, that we have done our best? I mean, we also see the explanations that, yes, poorer countries will always be the ones who will be hard done by, trampled to the bottom of the list. The richer countries will get priority. So are you convinced? Are you okay with those explanations?
I must say I have a strong feeling that we also somehow I guess that the rugby terminology here, we dropped the ball. It isn't clear to me why these plans are only now coming to some sort of fruition or to the public notice. It feels like they have, somehow we felt it was okay to expect a vaccine in Q2, Q3 of next year, this year. I don't think we should ever have been okay with that. I think the minute we had any inkling that a vaccine was apparent, we should have been fighting to the front of the queue. We've done this before. We almost have a playbook.
Yeah.
We did this for antiretrovirals. Yeah. It cost lives, so it's not like this is a surprise.
Yeah.
And people like Fatima Hassan and the Health Justice Initiative, other community organizations have been, sort of giving that message, beware, this could happen. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And it feels like we haven't been heard. So I think that we're going to regret that time lost. But now, we now need to really pull out the stops. And again, using that rugby analogy, we now need to move forward, in the most powerful way. I used a rugby analogy the other day. We need to be scrumming like we did for the World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't sit back and expect things to fall towards us. We went out and we scrummed all the way through to the finish line. And I think this is exactly what needs to be happening now, the sense of urgency. I'm sorry, when I hear things like this is not the silver bullet, that is just, to my mind, idiotic, that we just don't need to hear in this country. All we have available at the moment is non-pharmaceutical interventions. Of course, we have to adhere to that. We have to continue to shield the elderly and the infirm. But vaccines are now available. They are feasible. Mm-hmm. We have to go out and get them the way South Africans have shown they can do. And we need government to be right at the front leading the charge. And so I'm really hopeful that this is the turn of the coin, and we'll see that happen now.
Thanks very much for that, spreading some of that optimism, Dr. Linda Gale-Becker from the Desmond Tutu HIV Centre. Well.